Hello, everybody. So in this video, I wanted to talk about incoherence. And this is because I was just in class with some students and the topic was online security or cybersecurity. And it was very interesting because we got to the point where basically we had to discuss whether or not this article that stated that cybersecurity was necessary, but people like companies didn't want to spend money on it because it was basically like high cost and basically little gain. We got to the part where it was like, do you agree or not with this, right? Do you think the author is exaggerating, like saying, oh, it's so important because this company got hacked or whatever? It's trying to convince you, right? It's trying to influence you. It's trying to manipulate you emotionally. Like if you don't have security measures, online security measures, you will be hacked and your identity will be stolen and things like that, right? Um, which I don't really know why it's a big deal, other than the fact that you could say, well, I don't want people knowing things about me, but even though you do share that already, right? So we got to that part, and it was very interesting because everybody started to say, yes, it's important. It's important to have cyber security. Yet I was like, do you actually have it? And people were just kind of like, no. So it got me thinking, like, how come people, and I think if you ask most people on the street, they'll tell you that cybersecurity is important. Yet, if you ask them if they're willing to spend their personal money, or for example, if they're working at a company, if they're willing to have their boss take out money from their paycheck in order to pay for this, for the cybersecurity, which they're clearly stating is important, they would say no. If I were to ask a person, do you think cybersecurity is important? And they would say yes. And then I say, okay, so would you be willing to buy this product or whatever, you know, so you can have more online security on your phone, on your computer, whatever? They would probably say no, right? And it's like, that's incoherent, right? Why are you saying it's important? Then, why are you saying it's important to get it? Not just important, but important for companies to have it, for people to have it, yet you don't have it. You're not willing to spend that money. Then it's not really that important. You know what? Why are you being incoherent? And I have been thinking about this notion of incoherence lately. It's power, its ability to kind of confuse people, right? It's controversial kind of effect on people too, like a type of hostile or hostility is generated when you point this out in people. Like, okay, you're saying this, but you're doing this, right? So yeah, everybody knows and agrees that cybersecurity is important, yet nobody is willing to spend their personal money on it, right? And this kind of gets me thinking of hypocrisy, which is like a politician talking about moral virtue and specifically about being not being selfish and giving people, and giving to people, sharing and everything, when they make off with a ton of money, right? Once their term office or their once their terms in office are done, right? So this is like, you can see this because I just saw this thing where, and I guess if you investigate this and just think about it, it is common knowledge. Like when a president, when a person is running to be president, they have a certain amount of money, and then when they get to be president and after their term, they're rich. These people are rich. Like they got into government and now all of a sudden they're rich. How is that possible? Obviously they had to, and you could say, well, they got the money legally because they were able to leverage certain things or take advantage of certain quirks that they had, or job quirks or whatever. And I would say, okay, but still, don't say things that aren't in line with your actions, right? If you're talking about being a good person and you're using moral virtue in politics, which that's another topic, right? I was reading this book that actually says that as soon as politicians or the imperialists started to use moral in their rhetoric, right, in their narrative, in the way they were speaking, that's when they opened the door for philosophers to attack, right? Because moral shouldn't be mixed up with politics. Moral, what's correct and what's incorrect is another topic. It's more of a philosophical topic, right? But anyway, so yeah, what's up with these politicians that make off with a bunch of money once their terms are in office are done, right? So I asked ChatGPT like what's up with all of this, right? And then ChatGPT answers, this is called cognitive dissonance, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand. And ChatGPT defined cognitive dissonance as that phenomenon where people's actions, what they do, don't align with with what they say, with their stated beliefs or values, which is basically like, oh yeah, I think, you know, people shouldn't smoke because it's bad for your health, and then they're smoking, right? So it's like that incoherence. Let me give you some other examples that ChatGPT said. Exercising. People will state that exercising is good, that people should do it, right? And these same people, a lot of times, don't exercise, right? Again, incoherence. What you're saying or your stated belief, what you think should be, isn't, right? There's a discrepancy between the should and the is, right? Like this one guy was saying. So that, again, there's incoherence, right? I'm going to explain why that's a big thing in a moment. Another example is people that will say, I'm going to save the planet, I'm eco-friendly, I'll recycle, I won't ask for a straw, yet they're using plastic all of the time. They're driving around in their cars using gasoline, polluting the environment. It's like, why don't you get a bike? Why don't you go back to, and my problem with this isn't the fact that they're using, cars or plastic. My problem with this is the fact that they're saying that they're good people, that they're, the incoherence, the hypocrisy, right? The it's illogical, it's crazy. Okay, another one is education. People will say that education is good, that people should educate themselves. And a lot of times those people don't take any course on anything, don't go to school, right? Don't read a book, right? Yet they will say that, oh yeah, what's wrong with this country is lack of education. And they don't even know what hitherto means, right? It's like, open a book, get a dictionary, right? You just open your cell phone and go to Google and look it up. What is hitherto, right? Up until that simple, educate yourself, right? If you're so keen on saying that education is like a value or should be practiced by people, why aren't you practicing it? It's like, do what you preach, right? Personal finance. People will talk about how, it's essential to save, it's important not to waste money, right? And yet they waste money stupidly, right? On stupid things, right? Like, they don't even need to spend the money and they just spend it. And then they'll complain about not having money, right? About not making enough money, right? At their jobs. And it's like, whoa, that's complete incoherence, right? Now, my biggest concern with this idea, or my biggest question, my biggest inquiry or doubt regarding this, is why is it such a strong tool to use against people? Why do people react to this? How come you can signal this out in people and basically have them, like, make a shift in their perspective or in their way of looking at things, right? How come, why is it so strong, is my question. There's a consistency principle from Robert Cialdini's book, right? Persuasion and Influence. So I understand that part. People need to appear consistent, right? And I think he said it, and this is maybe why my unconscious is giving me the answer. But like I already mentioned, a part of that is because you don't want to seem crazy. If you're inconsistent, if what you say and what you do don't align, people are gonna think that since you're inconsistent about those two things, right? You can be inconsistent about anything. So then you're not reliable, you're not dependable, you're not trustworthy, you're a liar, you're not honest, right? I think at its essence, you're a liar, and you're an apparent liar, right? Like you're not even good at masquerading it or at faking it. Like people can see that you're lying, and that's bad news for you. That's bad business for you as a person, right? That's bad publicity for you, because now when you go ahead and you tell the person, oh hey, like I want to make this business deal with you, or I want to buy this from you, or you can trust me with this information, you're gonna think twice before agreeing to any type of you know thing that this person to any type of proposal, right? Or thing that the person says they want. Another thing, this is the other factor, is social accountability. Now, this is something I think that ChatGPT just said, or I kind of mixed it with my own thoughts. But social accountability due to inconsistency being deemed crazy, illogical, or incoherent. And what this means is that you can lie to yourself and you may not know, or but you can brush it off. But when other people see that, that's a problem, right? Because now you're not only lying to yourself, you're trying to lie to others, and that's going to be way hard than lying to yourself, right? You can lie to yourself and say, oh yeah, I'm a good person that takes care of the environment because I separate my plastics. And then you're driving around your car all weekend using up gasoline and polluting the environment. But when you tell a person that, right, or when a person will see that, when somebody else or other people see that you're going around bragging about how you separate your plastics, and then you're with that same friend all weekend, driving around the city, or going out of town, consuming gas and polluting the environment, and they can point that out to you and they can say, hey, you're talking about being, and one thing, again, is to say, I separate plastics because I like to do that, or I just feel like doing that, right? I think it may do good for the environment, but I also see that I'm polluting the environment by using a car and not a bike or walking, right? That's okay. But when you don't see that, right, when you've effectively lied to yourself and then other people point that out to you, that's kind of like what Peterson was saying, like poke them in the axioms, right? Your axiom, your core belief, your value is I save the environment, I'm saving the planet, yet that's not true. You're incoherent, you're crazy, right? And now you're crazy not only to yourself but to other people. And if you're crazy about that, it's kind of like in court when people will say, well, if this person lied about this, what's stopping them from lying about like the case, right? Or the events or what happened in the case, right? And they're not wrong, right? It could be a fallacy though, but again, if you say, if you're incoherent and crazy about this, what other things are you crazy about? Are you crazy about everything? Are you illogical, irrational about everything? Are you not thinking, right? Basically it boils down to that at its root, right? I would say even past the lying, like you're a liar, because a liar still has to have a certain level of consciousness, right? A certain level of awareness, and they need to be able to kind of, think up the lie, right? Think. But if you're just illogical and you're doing things and you're saying things, kind of like the crazy person in the street that's yelling random stuff because, maybe they're mentally unfit or not unwell or something. Yeah, that's basically what people will start to see you like, right? You're doing things and you're saying things that aren't aligning, right? And you're thinking things probably that also aren't aligning at all, right? Like I think it was Gandhi, I don't remember who said something like that, right? Like you're at peace when what you think, what you say, and what you do are all the same thing, right? That's peace. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to make this video because I think a lot of people are like that. They'll talk a lot, they'll say a lot of things, they'll exaggerate a lot of things, they'll believe the exaggerations, the emotional exaggerations, like the cybersecurity thing. I don't think it's a big deal. I think unless you're like a super important celebrity or like a rich person, you're really not in any danger. Plus, the information that you give out, you already do it in your social media willingly. So people don't really have to hack you or whatever. But that's just my take, right? People can debate me on that, but I'm pretty sure the people that debate me on that are going to be the irrational types that are going to say, well, it's important to have cybersecurity, yet they wouldn't spend a cent on it, right? So it's kind of like the incoherence, the hypocrisy, the illogical, the irrational, the crazy, right? Anyway, I thought I'd vent this out, get this out of the way. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, peace.